Hello everyone, welcome to From the Star Wars Home Video Library. I'm your host Nathan B. Butler, author of A Saga on Home Video, a fan's guide to US Star Wars home video releases. This time we look at something outside the US that honestly I've found kind of disappointing. So when I pick up new Star Wars releases, at least in recent years, typically what I'll wind up doing is trying to get my hands on all the US releases, of course, all of the UK releases, and then a couple from outside the US that I find particularly interesting. And usually those include a Blue Fans one-click box set from China and a MovieNEX premium limited box edition of a Star Wars film from Japan. We see a couple of those back here, right? The Force Awakens up there, Rogue One up there. The last one we got was actually even more elaborate than those. It was this bad boy, right? The one that always causes the focus to be like, I don't know what to do, there's so much white. There's a political joke in there somewhere. So we looked at this a while back with The Last Jedi, and it was pretty cool, right? It had the regular version, it had 3D and everything. It had the Steelbook plus that regular version. It had the little toy in it. And most of the time you get these packs and they've got some little posters in them, usually a little thing to stand up the posters in. They usually, or oftentimes have a little booklet. They tend to have a toy, like an action figure in them, along with a Steelbook copy of the film. So all kinds of fun, cool stuff in it, and these are the most elaborate way to get the Star Wars films as they're being released in Japan through MovieNEX, which is kind of like their Disney Movie Club to some degree from what I understand. Well, for Solo, they didn't do it. We waited for months to get any kind of indication from the Japanese market that they were going to do a premium limited box edition again, and we waited. And we waited, and the US release and UK releases passed, and we waited, and we waited. And then the release date finally came, actually on my birthday, October 17th, and still nothing. They never did a premium limited box edition for Solo, which sucks, because it means that now there's only 3. Last Jedi is the weird one that kind of stands out, whereas Rogue One and The Force Awakens at least kind of look the same. So instead of picking up a premium limited box edition, because there wasn't one, I did go ahead and pick up the most elaborate version that you could actually get for Solo from Japan. It's not a premium limited box edition, but it does have some interesting goodies, and again can be used for illustrative purposes when we're looking at things like how Steelbooks are handled from market to market to market. So that's what we're going to look at this time. The most elaborate way you could get Solo through MovieNEX in Japan that unfortunately isn't a premium limited box edition this time. Now, once again, this is a Steelbook, so it sort of behooves us to take a look real quick at those US and UK ones for comparative purposes. Again, this was the US one available at Best Buy. Smooth front, smooth back, nice and glossy, English on the side, right? Then the UK had 2, again, both through Zavvi. Okay, the Steelbooks themselves being identical despite the fact that one has a 4K disc, the other has a 3D disc. Both have the Blu-ray and Blu-ray bonus disc, but neither of them contain both 4K and 3D. This was their Steelbook. Same look, but it had that border, it had that embossing, so the border is raised and the falcon is raised, whereas the rest of it is not. Similar back, but it's not as glossy, and still English on the spine. Well, if you buy the most elaborate way you can get it from MovieNEX in Japan, you're going to get another Steelbook. And it's similar in its approach to what we saw with the difference between the international and US versions of the Steelbook for, say, The Force Awakens. But it's also different than the UK version in a way that, in that case, it was not. You may recall that there seems to be a difference, and it seems to vary from film to film, whether the version that the UK gets of a Steelbook is the same at all as other markets, because with Last Jedi it was completely different, right? But also, when it is the same, whether it's going to have English text on the spine, or it's going to have the character portraits so they can just use it in multiple markets. With The Force Awakens, it had the character portraits, so no English. So, kind of an unusual thing to see. In the UK, most of them have had just the regular English language spine on them, if you got them in the UK, just like in the US. Well, what that means in this case is that we have our glossy, slick-looking little Steelbook from Best Buy in the US, the embossed, kind of fancy-looking version from the UK, both of which have English spines, and then we have this. This is the MovieNEX exclusive Steelbook from Japan. I noticed that this one also has that same embossing of the falcon and of the border that the UK one has. It's not as glossy, so it's more like the UK one than it is like the US one, but you look at the spine, and now we're into that whole international thing we've seen before, where instead of having English on the spine, which in some markets wouldn't make sense, we have character portraits instead. So I have the Lucasfilm logo, Han, Chewie, Kira, Beckett, Val, Lando, and of course L3, and some blank space up at top and bottom, and then our Blu-ray symbol down at the bottom with no product number or anything like that. So essentially the same front, back, and we'll see the insides as what we got in the UK, and in fact the inside is the same in all of those regions that we've looked at. But this one, being outside an English-speaking country, does have the cool character portrait spine that we tended to see on international copies of The Force Awakens and some international copies of Rogue One and onward here. Now, what do you get inside? Well, you open it up, and first, you're going to see some papers, right? So for MovieNEX, we've got, hey, you know, get some, it says a digital copy code. This one I haven't used, so have at it if anybody out there actually uses it and wants to grab that code there. I don't care. I'm not going to use it. And now the mad scramble begins. Now you open it up. Tells you more about MovieNEX. Again, which is kind of like their Disney Movie Club meets the Movies Anywhere, kind of, I guess. Your stats and whatnot, it looks like. Legalese, I would assume, here. The little product booklet. Star Wars. Sort of general products there, including that Chewie mask that became famous on YouTube. You got the MovieNEX versions in regular cases of the films listed down there, at least the new films. You open it up. More products, including pointing out 4K copies of Last Jedi and Solo, and those white-cased or clear-cased MovieNEX versions down at the bottom, plus Rebels. And then on the other side, we've got more products over here, and an advertisement for Star Wars Resistance, of course, in Japanese. But what makes this really a killer find for someone who enjoys different media formats for Star Wars is what it includes disc-wise. So, you start out, and you've got Solo on Blu-ray, and Solo with a Blu-ray bonus disc. Here's our Blu-ray. Right, so Solo, Blu-ray symbol, Lucasfilm, product number, color, region A. This is not an ABC, but America is also region A, so we can use this. Okay, DTS HD. Then we've got, I guess, some product information, or legalese, or whatever down there, along with legalese around the edges here, mostly in Japanese. As for language choices, basically Japanese and English, as far as your language choices go on all of these, with the exception of the 4K disc, which has a lot more language options, so probably used in multiple regions. There's your bonus disc. Okay. Again, Blu-ray disc. Over here, Japanese, I'm assuming says bonus disc. Lucasfilm, Solo Star Wars Story, again, region A, product number, color, and then all of your legal and technical information in Japanese, mostly Japanese there as well. You might say, okay, that's cool, we expect that. But wait, this is a Steelbook. This is 2018, so chances are this Steelbook is going to have either a 4K disc or a 3D disc in it. Which one? Well, you could say it's a lot like the US. And one of the ones from the UK is here is your 4K disc. Although, honestly, I gave it away with the little subtitle thing when I labeled the product when I first pull it out, right? So I'm only surprising people who don't read. But here we have the ship, of course, the Millennium Falcon with Solo up at the top. Lucasfilm logo here, 4K Ultra HD. Product number, color, again, region A, Dolby Atmos, Ultra HD Blu-ray, and then the same kind of legally stuff going around there. When you put this in, you have a lot of different language options, and I'll be honest, there was no way I was going to remember what all of them were off the top of my head, so I took a picture of the menus so I could tell you. So the regular spoken languages on the 4K disc include English Dolby Atmos, English 2.0 descriptive audio, Deutsch, German, 7.1 Dolby Digital Plus, French, or Francais, 7.1 Dolby Digital Plus, Italiano, Italian, 7.1 Dolby Digital Plus, and then Japanese, 7.1 Dolby Digital Plus as well. So 7.1 Dolby Digital Plus pretty much straight through, with the exception of English, which is Dolby Atmos, or the 2.0 descriptive audio. But that's the spoken language. Now for subtitles, your options are none, duh, then English for the hearing impaired, German, French, Italian, Japanese, then Norsk and Svenska, being the other two. And then it actually has another menu for disc languages. What? Where you can choose essentially the same things as for subtitles there. So a lot more language options there on that 4K disc than just the English-Japanese on the regular Blu-ray disc and bonus Blu-ray disc. But wait, there's more, because the Japanese market is awesome! Much more so than, especially the US market, and to some degree, the UK market, right? Because in the UK, you could get a Steelbook that either had Blu-ray and 4K or Blu-ray and 3D, no digital copy. In the US, it was Blu-ray and 4K and digital, but no 3D copy. In fact, the 3D copy isn't available in the US at all. Well, what else do we get inside this Steelbook aside from Blu-ray, 4K, and digital? Booyah! 3D also. I can't believe I just said booyah. 3D also. So Solo, you have Han and Chewie there with the Falcon above them. Blu-ray 3D, Lucasfilm, product number color, region A again, DTS HD, and then the same kind of legalese type stuff going on here. As for the inside of the Steelbook, once they're all out, it's just the Falcon, like we've seen before, and it's got this cool little clear arm that's going to hold your other discs. So yes, if you want a 4K copy and a 3D copy and a Blu-ray copy, and to only own one copy of Solo, you can actually order this from MovieNEX Japan for about, I think it's 9,000 yen, and you're going to get yourself a nice Steelbook, right, the international version of the Steelbook that might look interesting on the shelf, and you're going to get all three of those different ways of watching it, and if you use MovieNEX through the Japanese service, a digital copy on top of that. It is definitely a far cry of a stronger release than what we got in the US and the UK. It's just not a premium limited box edition. But wait, premium limited box editions always have physical goodies. This one doesn't yet. Were there any? Hell yeah, there were. Albeit kind of odd ones. Now, they all came in like a magazine bag. I actually took the stickers off of the packaging and stuck them on the back of this. So when you actually first get the Steelbook on the shrink wrap, there's this little thing here. Has Solo's Japanese logo, 4K UHD MovieNEX HDR high dynamic range in English, and then more down there in Japanese, and the price tag, which, yes, is 9,000 yen, and you have your tech specs and everything there on another sticker, which, again, I just removed and stuck on here, so I didn't wind up losing it. This little baggie does have the little Star Wars tag down here. It just says Star Wars, www.starwars.jp.com, and just some logos and legalese and whatnot. But you open this, again, it's basically like a magazine protector bag, like if you've never seen one of those, kind of like you protect comics in. And there's another protective bag on the inside, which is good, because it would have just caught just then. Okay, so this is basically just to hold the other stuff and keep it from getting damaged. And inside this bag, that's where we have all of our goodies. Again, not a lot of goodies. Probably the thing that stands out the most that's missing here, aside from the box, is the fact that all the premium limited box editions had action figures of some kind of physical goodie like that with them, as opposed to just art cards and stuff like that, and that is not the case this time. But what we do have is a little, also in yet another of those little plastic packages, a little teeny tiny Solo sticker. Kind of a Solo pose in the Falcon, right, with Solo in English. A little teeny tiny postcard. Concept art, basically the Falcon. On the other side, Solo down in the corner, Star Wars. And whatever it is up here for postcard, whatever those boxes are for on a Japanese postcard. Oh, and down in the corner, little boxes there with legalese. And then the main thing that it comes with are art prints. Now, they're not these hard cardboard ones you might have seen before, but they're actually pretty cool looking. You've got Han with Solo at the bottom there. Interestingly, him not with the Falcon, because he doesn't really have it until the end of the film. Him with that speeder he stole. Then we have Kira, also with the stolen speeder. Then Lando with the Falcon behind him. Right? That is the Lando version of the Falcon. Then we have Chewbacca, the only one that doesn't have his name on there anywhere there, and for some reason has like a bull or some shit down at the bottom or something. And then for the Imperials, just one of their, what do they call it, snow trooper? Not even snow trooper, whatever that guy's called, right? Range trooper. And the Empire down at the bottom. So, I mean, you would have been, you know, maybe expecting Dryden Voss to have one, maybe one for a Crimson Dawn, perhaps. But no, instead it's Empire. But that is sort of the iconic Star Wars thing, right? So we have art cards here of 4 individual characters, plus the Empire. But none for Beckett or Val or any other members of the crew. But hey, at least it's something to give us a little bit of extra, you know, cool physical goodies to go along with that awesome Steelbook with Blu-ray, 3D, 4K, and digital all packaged together, albeit digital probably not being used by a US viewer. So, if you're looking for a cool way of getting your hands on a Steelbook of Solo that has Blu-ray and 4K and 3D all in one package with some extra physical goodies, you can pick this one up through MovieNEX Japan. Easiest way to get it is just go to Amazon's Japanese version and pick up this MovieNEX version of Solo. It's the most elaborate one they've got with no premium limited box edition. Going to run you about 9,000 yen, which is the equivalent of right around $80 US. So if you feel like that price is worth it to get all those in one package, especially if you are already going to wind up importing a 3D copy in from the UK or somewhere, hey, this one may be worth it to you. With that, we'll wrap up this episode. Thank you for watching, and may the Force be with the home video viewers.